Sir,
Hmm.
actually, yeah. So I, Swayam Siddha, coordinator of today's webinar, welcomes you all in today's webinar India at 75. This webinar's inaugural address would be given by Dr. Sudarshan Iyengar. The webinar is being conducted by Society for Empowerment. Also, we have our speakers Professor Dr. Ravindra Brahme, a professor of economics from Ravi Shankar University, Raipur, Professor Krishna from Institute for Social and Economic Change, Bangalore, and we have Professor S. Narayan, sir, who is Emeritus Professor, a Gandhian anthropologist. So I request
Thank
Dr.
you. Thank
Sudarshan
you.
Iyengar to
Thank
give
you.
to start,
Thank
give
you
the
very much.
inaugural address.
Thank you very much, Swayam Siddha, for putting us on live program. I will. We have Professor Iyengar with us, a well-known Gandhian economist and former Vice Chancellor of Gujarat Vidyapeeth, and now he is an activist. He has adopted a village and is trying to create a model. So, with these words, I would like to request Professor Iyengar to make his presentation uh, and enlighten us. India at 75. Please unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself. स्वयं सीधा आवाज नहीं आ रही है.
Sir, maybe there is a technical glitch from his side. I can't do anything about it.
Request him. आपके अयंगर साहब आप अनम्यूट कर लें अपने को. अनम्यूट कर लें. हम लोग आपको सुन नहीं पा रहे हैं. आप अनम्यूट कर लें.
Thank you very much. Am I audible properly?
Yes. Yes, yes, now audible.
Am I audible?
Yes, audible now.
Hello. Am
Yes,
I
you are
audible?
audible now.
I have unmuted myself. Am I audible?
Yes, you are
Yes,
audible.
I
Thank you.
have unmuted.
yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
कहाँ चले गए?
Okay, I have unmuted myself. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. You are completely audible. You're audible, sir.
मैंने unmute किया है.
आपको हम लोग सुन पा रहे हैं. अब आप बोलें, बताएं, अपनी बात को रखें आप.
Just a minute. मैं कैमरा बंद कर रहा हूँ.
तो फिर आप दिखेंगे
मैं
कैसे?
कैमरा बंद करता हूँ शायद इसीलिए कि I have stopped the camera. Yes, I
हाँ,
am
बोलिए.
stopping the camera. There may be some delay.
नहीं, ठीक है. कैमरा को रहने दीजिए.
Yes,
आपकी आवाज
I
आ
will
रही है.
now. Yes, Swayam Siddha, I am audible. I know. I will begin. I have just closed my camera so that the audio quality improves.
हाँ, वो पूरा ही बंद कर लिया.
Is that fine? Okay. So let me begin. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this kind opportunity to participate in this webinar, India at 75. नमस्कार सभी को नमस्कार. I know I am audible. I am speaking. uh, I have shut my camera because there seems to be, if I put my camera on, the voice transmission is getting disturbed. Okay, okay. सभी को नमस्कार. Thank you very much
नमस्कार.
for this opportunity uh, to participate in this webinar, India at 75. It's a very vast kind of a subject, and I am honored that I am supposed to give an inaugural. I have competent people. Professor Narayan has been very kind. Uh, if we go back to 75 years history, we learn that we were really poised for a very different kind of India, and nobody could have at that time thought where we would be going. It was not very sure with both Jawaharlal ji, Sardar Patel, and even to that extent, I think, even to that extent, uh, Mr. Jinnah and company, that there would be a kind of violence and disturbance that took place due to partition. So we started with a great setback. And before that, I am just going slightly back because we must remind ourselves that the shape of India that we have come to today has in it a historical correspondence between Mahatma Gandhi and Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in October 1945. Gandhiji and all the leaders of Congress knew that India is going to get independence, and there was some preparedness for that. And Gandhiji wrote to Nehru saying that, listen, Jawahar, we have discussed this, and I do believe that I have full faith in the Hindu Swaraj thesis that I wrote, and I believe that you also would remember what I wrote in Hindu Swaraj, and I do feel that India should really strive for a non-violent, becoming a non-violent society that will be largely rural. However, Jawaharlal Nehru categorically, candidly wrote back to Gandhi that he hardly remembers Hindu Swaraj, and he is sorry that he is disagreeing with Gandhi, and the kind of problem that the country is going to be in soon after independence, being under threat by the powers outside, which is an external threat, and also poverty, hunger, and unemployment in the country, the way out is going to be the state will have to take a powerful in taking control over commanding heights of the economy. That actually prevailed. And we know that we call it in Nehruvian age, we call it mixed economy. We saw that there was a clear process, a clear direction. Industrialization and urbanization was seen as the solution for India. Economic prosperity was supposed to lead to the solutions of the other problems. Villages were not left out. However, the priority for the rural areas, for the agriculture, was secondary. In fact, Gandhi had organized a meeting in Wardha in February 1 to 1948. Unfortunately, on 30th January, he had to sacrifice his life. The meeting happened, but it happened on March 15, 16, 17 at Wardha without Gandhi, but with all the leaders he had invited. And there was a serious discussion as to how do we really walk on what Gandhi had laid down as path for reconstruction of the country. However, when Nehru appeared, he lamented on the current situation and said that he was not looking for any opposition. He was looking for support from all people who believed in Sarvodaya and Gandhi, and therefore he should be supported. Vinoba took a stand that yes, we should support Jawahar because Jawahar is in crisis, trouble, and we should do the social. He tried Bhudan with limited success, a unique experiment that will never happen anywhere. But main path that was selected was industrialization and urbanization with the clear objective of removing hunger, poverty, unemployment, making the country and that is how the defense industry and capital goods industry came about. Now, initially, we all understand till almost about 1985, we India became famous for its Hindu rate of growth. The GDP grew really at around 3 to 3.5%. The population growth was higher, therefore, the per capita income was not growing very fast. Therefore, poverty was with us, and then came the crisis. Crisis was nine. I'm not going to discuss any political crisis. Mainly, I will deal with how our economy has progressed, what kinds of social reforms, change we have been able to do in 75, the economic have not been sort of less, or we should not disregard them.
Swayam Siddha, what happened?
Sir, his devices are not connected. His devices, they are not connected to the webinar.
Got
And that's
disconnected.
from his side. I can't do anything about it.
Hmm. What to do now?
ओके, स्वयं सिद्धा मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
यस सर, आपकी आवाज आ रही है.
ओके, am I audible now?
यस सर, यू आर ऑडिबल नाउ.
अरे कनेक्ट तो करो ना. हेलो.
Sir, please say something. Please say something, sir.
Angle sir, you are audible, sir. Please continue. We are able to listen to you. Angle sir, you are there much, very much in the screen, sir. Please continue, sir. Sir, there is some technical issue. Narayan sir, Angle sir will let us join. We can continue the program, sir.
Okay. Now, Brahme Sahab, Professor Brahme, you have you have
Yes,
time.
sir.
You wanted to speak earlier.
Yes,
You
yes,
want
sir. Yes, sir.
so now because we are unable to get um, Professor Iyengar,
Yeah.
there is some technical issue. So you
Yes,
please
sir.
go ahead and if in between he comes, then we will try to accommodate him
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
because he's a very
So,
senior person
yes, sir.
and,
Definitely, definitely.
and he is the only person who is a link between Gandhian economics and the modern economics. What we
Okay,
do.
okay, okay, okay. Sir, sir. So,
So please go ahead with your presentation.
okay, okay, sir. Okay. So, I would like to thank society for empowerment for giving me this very valuable opportunity to speak on the topic, which is India at 75. So, as we all know that we are celebrating this Amrit Mahotsav, and we are living in this Amrit Kal, and and in this uh, point of time, this kind of mm, webinar is very important and very useful for all of us. I think. So, because I am a student of economics and I would like to focus more on economics like past 75 years history of economic progress of India. And so I will just limit myself to that economic progress only uh, in last 75 years. So before speaking on the economy of India from independence of 1947 onwards, I will like to throw some lights on taking 2 minutes for that, and because a very famous economist, Angus Madison, in his very popular article book, he wrote the economic history, economic history of the world. I think Sir joined. Sir joined. Sir, Narayan sir.
Yes, yes, he has joined.
So can we listen him first?
Yes, yes, we should, we should.
Okay. No problem. No problem.
Iyengar Sahab, please go ahead with your presentation. Iyengar Sahab, श्याम सुधा देखो उनके साथ कोऑर्डिनेट करो.
Sir, उनके साइड से टेक्निकल ग्लिच है. I can't do anything about it. Maybe he's having some signal issue there in his area. Maybe it's that.
So please ask him, is he getting some signal or we should proceed with our program? Please talk to him.
Yes. Yes, sir.
अयंगर साहब, आप हमारी बात सुन रहे हैं, सुन पा रहे हैं?
सर उनसे टेलीफोन पे बात कर लें, टेलीफोन पे कॉल करके
आप
बात कर लें.
टेलीफोन से बात कर लें.
जी जी.
अयंगर साहब, आप फोन पे बात कर लें. नहीं, वो सुन नहीं
आप
पा रहे हैं.
फोन लगा लें मैडम, फोन उनको लगाएं, एक फोन कॉल करें उनको, तो वो क्लियर हो जाएगा, इशू क्लियर हो जाएगा.
देखो स्वयं सिद्धा, उनसे फोन पे बात करके देखो, फोन पे बात हो पा रही है. वो असल में रहते भी हैं, वो अहमदाबाद से थोड़ा दूर है, रिमोट विलेज में रहते हैं, जिसको उन्होंने अडॉप्ट किया है कि गांधीयन वे ऑफ इकोनॉमिक्स कैसे उसको डेवलप कर सकते हैं वो विलेज को. तो ही इज लिविंग देयर, तो हो सकता है वहाँ पे नहीं आ रहा हो, उनको कनेक्ट नहीं हो रहा हो. चलिए, आप ब्रह्मे साहब, आप अपनी बात रखें, फिर बाद में हम लोग उनको उनके साथ कॉन्टैक्ट करें.
जी हाँ. तो मैं यही चर्चा कर रहा था कि 1947 इंडिपेंडेंस के बाद से हम अभी जो 75 इयर्स की जर्नी है उस पर बात करने से पहले थोड़ा सा उसके पहले का भी 1-2 मिनट में मैं आपको स्नैपशॉट दूं. तो जो मैं चर्चा कर रहा था कि रिगार्डिंग द वेरी फेमस इकोनॉमिस्ट एंगस मैडिसन, he wrote a very famous book of economic history of the world, and in that book he wrote that he wrote a economic history of last 20 centuries from 180 to 2000 AD. So in this book he find that in last 20 centuries from 180 to 2000 AD, 15 centuries from 180 to 1500 AD, India's contribution in world GDP is something near about 32%. And in 1500 सालों में जो है जो भारत की जो इकोनॉमी थी और उसका जो दुनिया में जो कंट्रीब्यूशन था, दैट वाज हाईएस्ट. 15th सेंचुरी में के बाद 16th और 17th सेंचुरी में ऐसा हुआ कि जो चाइना की इकोनॉमी 16th 17th एंड अप टू 18th सेंचुरी, ये जो चाइना की इकोनॉमी है इसका कंट्रीब्यूशन थोड़ा इंडिया से ज्यादा रहा. फिर भी इंडिया का कंट्रीब्यूशन उस समय तक 22% था इस पे। तो इसके बाद यदि हम देखें कि जो हमारा जो कॉलोनाइजेशन हुआ, ब्रिटिश जो आए, उस समय जो इंडिया की जो इकोनॉमी, जो वर्ल्ड जीडीपी में जो कंट्रीब्यूशन था, वो ड्रास्टिक जो है उसमें कमी आई, और जिसको हम कहते हैं कि डी इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन जो हुआ इंडिया का, कि we earlier we are very rich in textile, in steel, and ship making. These three industries we have, we lead in the world. So after that, जो de-industrialization हुआ colonial period में, तो हमारा जो एक समय जो ब्रिटिशर्स आए थे, उस समय हमारा जो नियर अबाउट 22% की हमारी वर्ल्ड जीडीपी पे कंट्रीब्यूशन था, और 47 में जब वो छोड़ के गए, तो हमारा जो कंट्रीब्यूशन वर्ल्ड जीडीपी में था वो 3% था. So we are from after independence, we are moving from that 3% because this is the result of the colonization. And at that time also in 1947, we were the sixth largest economy of the world. 47 May, although we have 3% contribution in world GDP, and from you see from 47 to 2020, if we analyze our this contribution in world GDP, India's contribution in world GDP, so it's a V-shaped. We find a V-shaped. I am not able to show you my PowerPoint presentation PPT right now. So later on, I will send it to the organizer. So from 1947, we sixth largest, and uh, and uh, and in 2022 we are just surpassed. We are leaving behind this UK economy, and we are now fifth largest economy of the world in terms of the age nominal GDP. At present, we are fifth largest. So in uh, year 60s and the 70s and 80s, where position was 13th. Lowest is the 13th position in 80s hour. And then from there, we picked up our position in world GDP is in 90s and 2000 and 2020. And now we are, in terms of nominal GDP, we are the fifth largest economy of the world. So this is the progress of the last 75 years of Indian economy. But the more realistic figure of growth is per capita income. So at the time of independence, we have some $60 of per capita income. At that time, we have some um, uh, near about 40 crores people. Our population is 40 crore at that time, and now we have 140 crores. So in per capita in terms, the progress of the Indian economy is that time we have $60 our per capita income, and now we have something 2020 dollar per capita income. So definitely we have if we take what is the position of our India in the world as far as per capita income is concerned. So we are 158th among 205 countries. So as far as per capita income is concerned, uh, our rank is much below. But if we take this GDP, in terms of our position is very 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 good. And at the time of so this is the journey of economy in last 75 years. And if we see what is the contribution of the different sectors of the economy in India from last 75 years. So earlier, when we have independence in 47, so we have more than 50, near about 55% of our contribution in GDP comes from agriculture. So 55% contribution is from agriculture, and now we have near about some 15%, 14, 15% contribution of GDP. Uh, Agriculture's contribution of agriculture sector in GDP. But this not means that in absolute term our food in production increase, and now we are self-sufficient in agriculture. We have increased something sixfold in and now not we are self-sufficient. We are exporting agriculture products to other countries also. So and our service sector contribution at the time of independence was 30%, and now after 75 years, the contribution of service sector is more than 55%. So So this structural transformation is takes place last 75 years. Almost this industrial sector, which is the economy comprised of and industrial sector contribution in GDP at the time of independence was nearly 18%, and now at present it is 27%. So this is the transformation in GDP. This is the structural transformation takes place in GDP of India. But what happens, जो एग्रीकल्चर की जो जीडीपी है उसका शेयर तो जरूर कम हुआ 55% से it comes to 14%, 15%. But पॉपुलेशन जो एग्रीकल्चर पे डिपेंड करती है वो उस वो इस प्रपोर्शन में वो कम नहीं हुई. तो अर्लियर यदि 80% पॉपुलेशन हमारी एग्रीकल्चर पे डिपेंड करती थी, तो अभी वो जो पॉपुलेशन है वो अभी नियर अबाउट 55%, 60% पॉपुलेशन हमारी अभी भी एग्रीकल्चर पे डिपेंड करती है. तो ये एक जो प्रोग्रेस के साथ होना चाहिए था, इसके इसके कारण हम देखते हैं कि जो जहाँ पे थोड़ी सी जो हमारे रूरल एरियाज में हम अभी भी जो है ज़्यादातर हमारा जो 50% वर्क फोर्स है हमारा वो पूरा एग्रीकल्चर में लगा हुआ है. लगभग वी हैव आवर labor force participation in near about 48 crores. We have um, working age population in our country. So of this 48 crore, 24 crore is directly engaged in agriculture. So so in last 75 years, ये तो जरूर हुआ कि हमारा जो एग्रीकल्चर डोमिनेटेड इकोनॉमी थी वो हमारी अब सर्विस सेक्टर डोमिनेटेड इकोनॉमी हो गई है. और पर जो और इसमें इंडस्ट्री का भी कंट्रीब्यूशन जो बहुत अभी 27% के आसपास है, पर जो पॉपुलेशन जो डिपेंड करती थी इस पे वो नहीं कम हुआ. तो दो तीन चीजें हम इससे हम लोग समझ सकते हैं कि एक तो हमारी जरूर जो जीडीपी बढ़ी है, पर उसका जो जिस तरीके से डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन होना चाहिए था वो थोड़ा सा जो है टॉप जो जो डिसाइड ऑफ जो पॉपुलेशन है उसमें कॉन्सेंट्रेट हो गया है. और उसका जो जो डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन जो होना चाहिए था, जो जो गांधी जी का जो सपना था कि जो आप जो बेनिफिट है, जो लाभ है, वो सोसाइटी के आखिरी आदमी तक पहुंचना चाहिए था. वहाँ पे थोड़ा सा हमारे जो लास्ट 75 इयर्स हैं उसमें वो प्रोग्रेस नहीं हो पाई है. तो ये इस बीच यदि ये प्रोग्रेस की और बहुत सारी इकोनॉमिक बातें इसमें इसमें हो सकती हैं, पर एक चीज इकोनॉमी में था कि हमें जो पॉलिटिकल फ्रीडम मिली है, तो जो पॉलिटिकल फ्रीडम के साथ हमको पॉलिटिकल फ्रीडम तो मिली, पर इकोनॉमिक फ्रीडम उतनी जो है वो नहीं मिली। व्हाट आई मीन टू से इज कि जो लोगों को जो फ्रीडम, इकोनॉमिक फ्रीडम जो मिलनी चाहिए, वो नहीं, पॉलिटिकल फ्रीडम हमको मिल गई। हम जानते हैं कि 91 के बाद हमारी इकोनॉमी थोड़ी ओपन हुई, और 91 के पहले तक पूरा जो हमारी इकोनॉमी थी वो स्टेट डोमिनेटेड इकोनॉमी थी, जो सेकंड प्लान से हमने जो है, जिसको जवाहरलाल नेहरू कहते थे कि जो मॉडर्न जो टेम्पल्स हैं, उसके जो बड़ी बड़ी जो इंडस्ट्रीज हैं, जिसको हैवी इंडस्ट्रीज वो कहते थे, बड़े जो डैम थे, और इवन जो आईआईटीज की स्थापना की है, पहली आईआईटीज वी ऑल नो उसकी जो खड़गपुर में जो कि जो ब्रिटिश डिटेंशन सेंटर था, जहाँ पे कि लोगों को वो डिटेंशन सेंटर ब्रिटिश ने बनाया हुआ था, उस खड़गपुर को सबसे पहले वहाँ पे पहली देश की आईआईटी वहाँ पर बनी। तो इट्स ए बेस्ट एग्जांपल जो इंडियन प्रोग्रेस का है कि फ्रॉम ए डिटेंशन सेंटर टू जो है मॉडर्न टेम्पल ऑफ जो है प्रोग्रेस हम देख सकते हैं, मॉडर्न मॉडर्न टेम्पल ऑफ मेकिंग ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेस। और आईआईटीज और आईआईएम का बहुत बहुत रोल रहा हमारे देश की प्रोग्रेस में। तो ये पूरी यदि हम हिस्ट्री यदि देखते हैं, तो हमारी जो बड़ी जो चिंता की बात ये रही इन 75 ईयर्स में, कि जो लाभ उनका मिलना चाहिए था, जो हमारी जो प्रोग्रेस हुई है, उस लाभ का हम फिफ्थ लार्जेस्ट इकोनॉमी हो गए। अभी हमने एक महीने पहले ही ब्रिटेन को और यूके को पीछे छोड़ के बने हैं फिफ्थ लार्जेस्ट। पर जो हम उसका जो लाभ पहुंचना चाहिए था लोगों तक, जो गांधी जी का एक बड़ा सपना था कि हमारे लोगों को जो लाभ मिलना चाहिए, तो वो जो है वो नहीं हो पाया लास्ट 75 ईयर्स में। पर इसके बावजूद और इसीलिए जो मैंने कहा कि हमारी जो पर कैपिटा इनकम है, प्रति व्यक्ति जो औसत आय है, वो 250 कंट्रीज में हम 154 154वें नंबर पे हमारा हमारा नंबर आता है। पर फिर भी जो इंडिया की जो प्रोग्रेस है लास्ट 75 ईयर्स में आप देखें, तो बहुत ही अच्छी इम्प्रेसिव प्रोग्रेस रही है। और यदि हम देखें कि दुनिया में ऐसे यदि देशों को यदि देखें हैं, हम 90s तक तो हमारी जो ग्रोथ रेट लगभग 3.5% की ग्रोथ रेट हमारी रही, जिसको एक बड़े जो इकोनॉमिस्ट थे उन्होंने कहा कि हिंदू ग्रोथ रेट था। वी ऑल नो कि वी अडॉप्टेड ए मिक्स्ड इकोनॉमी, जो है जिसमें सबसे पहले 90s तक जो है पब्लिक सेक्टर का डोमिनेशन था, उसके बाद प्राइवेट सेक्टर ओपन किया गया। तो ये यदि आप देखें तो यदि ऐसे यदि आप देशों को यदि आप देखेंगे कि जहाँ पर जिन देशों ने 5% से अधिक जो है जिनकी ग्रोथ रेट रही है दुनिया में, ऐसे बहुत कम देश रहे हैं। यानी पूरी दुनिया में लास्ट यदि हम अ, आप जिसने सस्टेन जो है ग्रोथ किया हो, जिनकी ग्रोथ रेट 5% से ज्यादा रही हो, हम जानते हैं कि अभी अभी भी हमारी 7% है ग्रोथ रेट, और मैंने बताया कि 91 तक तो 3.5% थी। तो पिछले 3-4 दशकों में जो हमारी जो प्रोग्रेस है पूरी दुनिया के यदि हम देश को देखेंगे, तो लगभग जो हमारी सेम इनकम कैटेगरी के देश हैं उसमें से सिर्फ ऐसे 13 ही देश हैं जिनकी ग्रोथ रेट 5% से ज्यादा रही। ग्रोथ रेट को ज्यादा एम्फेसिस करने का इसलिए एक कारण ये भी होता है कि यदि ये काफी कुछ डिटरमाइन करता है कि देश में जो है लोगों के जीवन स्तर को भी निर्धारित करने के लिए बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट चीज है। और साथ ही साथ इससे जो वेलफेयर स्कीम के लिए भी सरकार को जो टैक्स मिलता है, इसीलिए कई कई बार ये होता है कि भाई क्यों इतना फोकस इकोनॉमिस्ट करते हैं कि ग्रोथ होना चाहिए, ग्रोथ पे इतना ज्यादा फोकस क्यों होता है? क्योंकि सरकार को स्कीम चलानी है, डिफरेंट वेलफेयर स्कीम चलानी है, तो उनके लिए जरूर उसे जो है रेवेन्यू की जरूरत है, और रेवेन्यू आपको टैक्स कलेक्शन के द्वारा ही मिलेगा। लोन लेने का एक अपनी सीमा होती है डेट लेने की, और इतने बड़े देश में जो जहाँ पॉपुलेशन आपकी 40 करोड़ से आज 140 करोड़ 138 करोड़ की पॉपुलेशन है, तो इनके लिए निश्चित रूप से हमारे पास अभी भी 21% जो पुअर हैं, उनके लिए जो हमें जो टारगेटेड जो हमें वेलफेयर स्कीम चलानी है, उसके लिए हमको रिसोर्सेज की ज़रूरत है। और हम सब जानते हैं कि ये कोरोना बेस्ट एग्जाम्पल आप देख सकते हैं कि जब ग्रोथ नहीं थी तो सरकार के पास रेवेन्यू भी नहीं थी, सरकार डेवलपमेंट एक्टिविटीज में कोई खर्च सरकार के रुक गए थे, सरकार को ज़्यादा ज़्यादा ऋण लेना पड़ा था, बहुत ज़्यादा ऋण लिया, और वो हमेशा ऋण नहीं लिया जा सकता है। इसीलिए ये इसको ये एक इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज़ है कि ग्रोथ होना चाहिए, विकास होना चाहिए। तो उसके बाद कुछ जो इकोनॉमी में और कुछ अभी जो महत्वपूर्ण जो बातें हुई हैं इकोनॉमी के अंदर, कुछ चीज़ें हम यदि आप देखें तो ये तो इसकी बात हुई, फिजिकल हम एसेट की बात कर रहे हैं, हम फिजिकल ग्रोथ की बात कर रहे हैं, हम क्वांटिटी में जो है उसको बात कर रहे हैं। व्हाट अबाउट द क्वालिटेटिव ग्रोथ, मीन्स क्या हमारे लोगों के साथ क्या हुआ, हमारी जो है जो एजुकेशन का क्या क्या सिनेरियो है, हमारे हेल्थ का क्या सिनेरियो है। तो इसके लिए जो मॉडर्न मेथड है जिसको डेवलपमेंट को मेजर करने का, जिसको हम ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट कहते हैं, तो वो जो ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट का हमारे यहाँ जो था, हमारे यहाँ जो यदि 47 में यदि हम देखें कि क्या था HDI जो हमारे यहाँ इंडेक्स, यदि हम देखते हैं कि वो कितना था, तो लोएस्ट था, दैट वाज जो है पॉइंट पॉइंट जो है इट्स नियर अबाउट 0.17, नियर अबाउट हमारा 16.16 हमारा ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट जो है इंडेक्स का मेजर था 47 में। एंड नाउ यदि हम देखें कि अभी हमारे ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट का क्या है, जिसको कि ये जो ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट इंडेक्स बनाया जाता है कि 3 इसके पैरामीटर होते हैं, कि इसमें क्वांटिटी और क्वालिटेटिव दोनों एस्पेक्ट को ध्यान में रखते हैं। वी ऑल नो कि जिसमें आप एजुकेशन को भी रखते हैं और हेल्थ भी देखते हैं कि क्या है, ईयर ऑफ स्कूलिंग हमारे यहाँ क्या है, हमारे यहाँ हेल्थ में क्या स्थिति है, इन्फेंट मॉर्टलिटी की क्या है, मैटरनल मॉर्टलिटी की क्या स्थिति है, और लाइफ एक्सपेक्टेंसी क्या है। हमारे यहाँ लाइफ एक्सपेक्टेंसी लगभग डबल हो गई। जो 47 में हमारे यहाँ एक व्यक्ति की जो है जीवन प्रत्याशा वो थी 40 साल, एक व्यक्ति के जीवन जीने की प्रत्याशा थी 40 years। नाउ इट्स नियर अबाउट डबल है, हम इसको 78 के आसपास हमारी ये जीवन प्रत्याशा है। तो ये इस पे यदि हम मेजर करें कि क्या प्रोग्रेस हुई लास्ट 75 years में, तो आप देखते हैं कि हमारा जो SGI वैल्यू भी है वो बढ़ के पॉइंट 667 के आसपास हमारा SGI वैल्यू हो गया है। तो इसमें भी हमने जो है प्रोग्रेस की है हमारे यहाँ। चाहे आप कहें कि जो है जो आपकी जो इसमें इन्फेंट जो मॉर्टलिटी रही है, एक समय नियर अबाउट 140 थी, 140 इन्फेंट मॉर्टलिटी थी, जो कि अभी आपकी जो है कम हो के ये जो है लगभग 27-28 के आसपास हो गई है। और उसी तरीके से मैंने बताया कि जो
रमेश साहब, आपने बहुत अच्छी बात बताई इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट 1947 से लेकर अभी तक का आपने, लेकिन बहुत सारे इकोनॉमिस्ट ये कहते हैं कि लॉपसाइडेड डेवलपमेंट हुआ कंट्री का। जो इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट जो हुआ दैट इज ए लॉपसाइडेड डेवलपमेंट हुआ। जो हॉलिस्टिक डेवलपमेंट होना चाहिए था वो हो नहीं पाया। और जो देश का जो एक्सपेक्टेंसी ऑफ लाइफ और जो हुआ है, और तो उसके हिसाब से उसको जब हम कंपेयर करते हैं सोशल कंडीशंस, जो डेवलपमेंट का जो पैरामीटर्स है, इंडिकेटर्स है, तो वहाँ पे भी थोड़ा वो उसी हिसाब से लगता है। ये अलग बात है कि लिखने को हम लोग लिखते हैं कि उस समय तो जब हम आज़ाद हुए थे तो हमारे पास सुई बनाने का भी कोई फैक्ट्री नहीं था। आज हमारे पास इतनी सारी फैक्ट्री हैं, कई तरह की फैक्ट्री हैं, लेकिन इसका जो एक बैलेंस जो होना चाहिए, उस तरह का बैलेंस डेवलपमेंट नहीं हो पाया। या जो गांधी जी जो चाहते थे कि ग्राम स्वराज के माध्यम से विकास करें, जिसमें कृषि पर का भी भागीदारी हो, क्योंकि हम लोग तो बेसिकली एग्रीकल्चर पे डिपेंड करते हैं, आज भी डिपेंड करते हैं, हमारा मेजर पॉपुलेशन है वो एग्रीकल्चर पे डिपेंड करता है, लेकिन वो उसके हिसाब से जो होना चाहिए वो नहीं हो पाया, चाहे इसके लिए पॉलिसी हो या प्लान हो, वो रिस्पॉन्सिबल हो, लेकिन कुछ उस तरह के अपेक्षित विकास नहीं हो पाए हैं। ऐसे विकास तो हुआ ही है इतने वर्षों
जी
में,
हाँ
जो
जी
देश का विकास हुआ है, इसमें कोई डिनाइंग फैक्टर नहीं है कि विकास नहीं हुआ, बट जो अपेक्षित ग्रोथ जो होना चाहिए था, जो हॉलिस्टिक डेवलपमेंट जिसको हम लोग एंथ्रोपोलॉजी में कहते हैं, वो इस तरह का
जी
वो नहीं बन पाया। तो आपने बहुत अच्छी बात हम लोगों को बताई कि 47 का कहाँ से हम कहाँ तक पहुँचे हैं, ये बहुत ही अच्छी बात है। मैं
जी
आपको
हाँ
ये बताऊँ, मैं शायद प्रारंभ में मैंने नहीं कहा कि आज का जो वेबिनार है वो, और इसके बाद फिर 18th का जो वेबिनार है वो, ये दोनों ही जो नीति आयोग हैं वो इसको पूरा इसकी रिकॉर्ड कर रहे हैं, और फिर उसके बाद दोनों को मिलाकर दोनों जो वेबिनार हो जाएगा, उसके बाद मिलाकर फिर एक वेबिनार हम लोग उनके साथ करेंगे, जिसमें जितना भी
जी
हम लोग इसमें जो प्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं उसके साथ उसको लेकर करेंगे और उनके साथ डिस्कस करेंगे। तो आपको बहुत
जी
बहुत
जी
धन्यवाद, आप हम लोगों से जुड़े और अपनी व्यस्तता के बावजूद भी आपने इतना समय हम लोगों को दिया। तो अब मैं प्रोफेसर कृष्णराज जी से आग्रह करता हूँ, इज ही हियर स्वयं सिद्धा जी? कृष्णराज जी हियर? प्रोफेसर कृष्णराज, कैन यू हियर मी? प्रोफेसर कृष्णराज?
Yes, sir, I am here. Yes, sir, I am here.
Oh,
Yes. Yeah.
sorry but you see that was a request of uh, Brahme,
Yeah.
that he has
Yeah.
to go somewhere, and unfortunately that we are not getting connected to Iyengar. He is a good economist. You must be knowing him much
Yes,
better
yes,
than
sir.
me.
I know him. I
And
know
he is
him.
doing a very good experiment with Gandhian uh, economic thought of
Yeah.
development. He has adopted one village, and he is pumping in all the development inputs. Anyway, it is just information that this our today's webinar and the webinar of the next Sunday, all these two webinars are keenly watched by the is being watched, seen by this Niti Ayog, and then after these two webinars, we will have a discussion on whatsoever we are thinking, whatsoever we are presenting, and what is their views. Then we will
Right.
have another webinar on that. So with these words, I would like to request you to have your presentation here, so that we can know what is your views about the development of is from 1947 to till today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much for
Because one of your
allowing.
paper on the tribal development, if I remember correctly, that has been accepted, all your views by the government. And so I take you very seriously that whatsoever you make presentation, before that you make a lot of exercise.
Yeah. Please allow me to share the PPT.
Please.
Share screen. I have to share the screen or slides. Can you see my slide?
No, it is not coming. क्या
Now,
Swayam
can,
Siddha? Yes, then now we can see your slide.
yes, yes.
Hmm.
Thank you, Professor S. Narayan, for giving me this opportunity. And also, I thank SFE, Society for Empowerment, for conducting this very important webinar on India at 75. Already two eminent scholars, Professor Sudarshan Iyengar and also Brahme, have spoken in detail about the history of economic growth of India and also the challenges the India has been facing, especially as you rightly mentioned about lopsided development. So there may be some repetition of the same issues, but kindly pardon me. But I try to summarize within next 15 minutes uh, how India has remarkably achieved economic development since India's independence. So how the policymakers of India have contributed significantly to the economic development of India by following the best economic policies they had at their time. They used to command at their time. So, if you look at India's achievement in last 75 years, when India got independence on 15th August 1947, the India's economic conditions were highly pathetic, I can say, and the population of India was around 34 crores. Today we are at 134 crores. Almost 100 crores of people are added to the same geographical area. It means that the tremendous growth of population has created several challenges for the policymakers in terms of creating employment opportunities, in terms of alleviating poverty, in terms of reducing the hunger and regional imbalance. And India has faced a tremendous challenge in the last 75 years. But still, its uh, achievements are path breaking, I can say, and still we need to do more. If you look at the some of the socio-economic indicators, especially the literacy rate, it was 12% at that time. Now it stands around 77.77, sorry, 70% literacy rate. So this is also one of the greatest achievement of the India's economic success. And India had faced a starvation, hunger, and also the malnutrition when India got independence. If you look at the life expectancy at that time of independence, it was hardly 33 years. The young people were dying. Now we have come to a figure of life expectancy around 69.2 2 years. But recent HDI index, Human Development Index, has reduced this in its report the life expectancy from 69 years to 67 years. But I have to go through why this life expectancy has come down. Maybe due to increasing health issues and low expenditure on the public expenditure on health, maybe one of the reasons I could find at this juncture. So the another biggest achievement the India's achievement was that in terms of food production, the food production was hardly 33 million tons in 1947. Now we have a, a food stock of 257 million tons now. So there was a great revolution in terms of food production, in terms of both green revolution, white revolution, and other revolutions that took place. It is a commendable achievement in uh, India's progress. So if you look at the GDP, India's
आ रहा है ना?
GDP was
ठीक है, चलो यही बात है, लग तो गया कहीं ना। ठीक, बता दे रहा प्रोफेसर को कि मैं अंदर हूँ।
If you look at India's GDP, it was hardly 2.7 lakh crore rupees. Now India stands at the hoping 145 lakh crores. So this is also a great achievement. On an average, if you look at the class, divide 145 lakh crores uh, of the total GDP to 75 years, India was adding almost 2 lakh crores every year. So at that time of independence, India's total GDP to the world economy was around 3%. Now we stand at 7.74% of the global GDP. But India is still a lower middle income country in terms of GDP per capita and also per capita income is concerned. So these achievements have been, one can say, a tremendous in terms of a country which was divided geographically between Pakistan and India, and there was hardly any irrigation facilities at that time, and people were highly illiterate, and there was a widespread famine throughout the Indian continent, and literacy rate was very high, life expectancy was very low, and given these socio-economic conditions at that time of independence, so India's marching towards economic development is highly appreciable, and the contribution made by the leaders who are really visionaries, including Jawaharlal Nehru and later part of uh, prime ministers, they have richly contributed for India's economic development. So, if you look at this India's economic position in the world today, it stands at the fifth position. It has recently replaced United Kingdom. Around we have around 3 trillion US dollar economy. So, however, the dark side or flip side of the India's growth trajectory or growth story is that still India is a low income country with GDP per capita of $1,882. Whereas in case of China and even South Korea, if you look at South Korea and China, these two countries, when they got independence in 1948, especially China, its economic development was much worse than the India's economic position. However, the China's remarkable economic development has pushed the per capita income of the country to 10,423. So it is compared to India's economic growth story, China's and South Korea's economic stories are well appreciated throughout the world. So this gives us an opportunity to introspect where uh, we had gone wrong and how we can revision the India's growth trajectory towards lifting the uh, uh, nearly 50% of the people out of the poverty line, because nearly 50% of the people in India, they suffer from multidimensional poverty issues, including access to water, access to housing, access to energy, access to sanitation, even access to health, education, etc. So therefore, India even today is a low middle income country, and the achievements we have done in the past, they are not really brought a tremendous growth in terms of increasing per capita income. So India, even though it wants to realize 5 trillion economy by 2025, and still it is lagging behind. It is a 2.9 trillion US dollar economy. There may be 3 trillion US dollar economy, but if you compare to China and other countries, South Korea, India's growth is less in terms of per capita income. So, how India's economic development has been translated in various planning era. So, the Planning Commission was created after the India's independence. So, the strategy India's strategy was planned in such a way that economic development can be achieved through plans. So you know that the Soviet Union model has been adapted. However, India has not fall into the uh, ideology of both USSR, erstwhile USSR, as well as the Western countries like America, but it has adopted the policy of mixed economy. So, in this mixed economy, it has retained the wealth or assets of the nation, both in the hands of private sector as well as the government or public sector. That was the beauty of the uh, policy of India. So, as Professor Sudarshan Iyengar mentioned, so India has created a commanding heights in terms of economic development by creating a industries which can push economic growth uh, all over India. These are nowadays are called as Navaratnas, big industries. So importance has been given to big industries by the public sector itself. So in the first 5-year plan, the immediate vision or goal or objective of the government is to solve food crisis or make agriculture development uh, that will enhance the that will reduce the hunger, starvation, and unemployment, and also the malnutrition the India was facing severely at that time of independence. So, therefore, the first 5-year plan has given a clear directions to economic development of India by focusing more on India's agricultural development. In the second 5-year plan, rapid industrialization has been planned in a mass scale. So, construction of even dams, irrigation dams, and establishment of basic industries such as steel and iron, cement, fertilizer industries, and also the construction of major industries, extraction of iron ore, and production of papers, and etc. There are a good number of industries have come up during the second 5-year plan. And third 5-year plan has focused more on education. Education was prioritized during the third 5-year plan during 1961 to 66. Then you know that there was a war between China and India. Then the plan period was halted between 1966 to 69. So in the fourth 5-year plan, the highest priority was given by Indira Gandhi was to Garibi Hatao, that is alleviation of poverty. And for that, she nationalized the banks, and there was a green revolution and land reforms. These were some of the best policies India has achieved in terms of alleviating poverty and access to credit, and also in terms of providing irrigations to some of the best fertile lands to produce more food per acre, that is increasing the productivity, and also giving land to landless people through land reforms. These were some of the best policies the government of India could adapt to achieve desired economic development. So these are also called as path-breaking policies, and very innovative path-breaking, without which India could not achieve this level of economic development. So next 5-year plan is that fifth 5-year plan, where further employment generation, poverty reduction, and equitable distribution of income in terms of providing social justice and empowerment was the priority. So later, during 1978 and 80, they introduced rolling plan, and then the planning era was brought back in 1980s and 85. So this was the era of Rajiv Gandhi, where um, they modernized they wanted to have a modernized India. There, they have given big push to modernization of technology. ISRO was given I.A.S priority. The defense sector was given importance, and the computers were imported. And this is the era where there was a big push for industrialization, modernization, and technological adaptation by the Indian government. So today, India is also growing at the same level of USA in terms of software technology because of this modernization of technology by the erstwhile regimes. So even though there was a plan for control of population, it could not be succeeded because of the lacuna in policies. And poverty was also addressed, but still poverty persists due to various reasons. And unemployment to some extent reduced, but in recent time the jobless growth is uh, uh, the the present in all the sectors. If you look at the seventh 5-year plan, there the importance was given to accelerated food grains production, and more importance was given to not for agriculture production per se, but more importantly, agriculture productivity. That is using minimum inputs and maximizing the more output. So agriculture productivity was given highest priority. As a result, we could produce a desired level of output now, even though there are certain crops where agriculture productivity is less when compared to other countries, but still agricultural productivity in some crops like paddy and wheat and other crops in some regions are good. In the eighth 5-year plan, you know that the India faced a uh, almost a collapsed Indian economy was collapsed in terms of there was hardly any money to import the commodities from the foreign countries. Our foreign reserves were less than 1 week to import imports. And also the India was almost reeling under debt, foreign debt, and as a result, it could not sustain its economy and its population and production unless it has to bring a paradigm shift in economic policies. So, in the eighth 5-year plan during 1990-92, economic reforms were introduced by the Narasimha Rao government under the finance ministry of the Manmohan Singh government. So, for the first time, liberalization, privatization, globalization policy were brought in to accelerate growth and improve the quality of life. So, even though it was criticized at that time very vehemently by the policymakers and also the academicians and other leaders, opposition leaders, but the way it was adopted has given a fresh air to India's economic development. So then the 10th five-year plan, the target was to increase the GDP growth rate. That is, quantitative growth was given importance over quality of economic development. So that was the main agenda of the 10th five-year plan. Universal access to primary education. Today, you know that one of the best education system we have in terms of primary education is that education to all children, free and fair education to all the children, was introduced during the this 10th five-year plan. Then the 11th five-year plan, by that time there was a growing inequality, income inequality, and some regions faced regional imbalance. Some sections of the society faced economic inequality. Some sectors also faced economic growth, lopsided economic growth. Therefore, in the 11th five-year plan, inclusive growth was given highest importance towards faster and more inclusive growth. And the next five-year plan also, the government of India has given more importance to faster, sustainable, and more inclusive growth. However, in 1915, when the new government came into uh, occupy the seat of the Delhi, then the planning era or the planning commission was uh, withdrawn or terminated, and Niti Ayog has been established from 1st January 2015 onwards towards having a overall economic development of the country. So this is how the growth or developmental trajectory of India's independence since independence. So we have come to this stage now. So what happened after the in the last 75 years? So India's government's goal after independence was to establish socialistic pattern of society through economic growth with self-reliance, social justice, and elevation of poverty. Though the mechanism of mixed economy where both public and private sector coexist, in 1990s economic globalization has led to capitalism, form of economic growth and development. It is assumed that economic liberalization leads to trickle-down effect and welfare of the state. The role of government and government sector is reduced and dominance of private sector is prevailed with the growth of informal sector. So as a result, there is a growing concerns for Indian economy. There are two important concerns I would like to flag here. One is that growing economic inequality, and the second and foremost is that the environmental degradation. So if you look at the economic inequality, inequality in wealth, health, and opportunities are very, very high in India. So even there are some economists, including Stiglitz, they criticize the capitalistic form of economic growth, where they observe that this growth is only of the 1%, for the 1% and by the 1%, reflecting disproportionate share of income by a few corporate gains. So the developmental process under liberalization is not shared one, which led to adoption of policy of inclusive growth in the 11th five-year plan, even in the 12th five-year plan, reducing poverty and improving living conditions of the downtrodden. Just now, the earlier speaker has mentioned our human development index has been reduced to uh, 130 30 of the one around 200 countries. It is 136 country. So it shows that our human developmental index in terms of other countries, it is very, very a poor state. So therefore, uh, uh, what we can conclude is that from these developmental trajectories that this development is not equal to all. Still, there are uh, nearly 50% of the population is poor multidimensionally, and the environmental degradation in terms of pollution of cities, pollution of river basins, or pollution of water resources, and degradation of natural resources such as forest and biodiversity, and pollution of the agricultural land or soil, and the productivity of soil has gone down drastically. As a result, the concerns for health, the concerns for unemployment, the concerns for inequality in income, the concerns for growing disparity between regions are highly prevalent in India. So the government of India needs to address these issues very seriously. Otherwise, this will lead to various problems. Three major outcomes of capitalism we adopted in 1991 was that government policies have failed to create level playing field for SCs, STs, and OBCs, and even for women. So the poverty elevation programs fail to create assets or capitalist capitals for SC/STs, and they have become food assistant programs rather than creating capital assets. Even though Mahatma Gandhi, Narega, and land reforms, reservation in government employment, some extent they have succeeded, but recent policies have created more income inequality. So these are the three major outcomes of the capitalism: inequality in wealth, where privatizing the profits and universalizing the losses are very prominent; inequality in health outcomes, more disease and death due to social insecurity and environmental degradation; and inequality in opportunities, especially the corporate sector is promoting artificial intelligence, replacing laborers, and privatizing the public assets. You know that the asset monetization is going on in India, where private sector is given more importance without giving much concerns to the income inequality. So, this in a nutshell, India has achieved tremendous growth in terms of GDP growth, in terms of enhancing the uh, longevity, life expectancy, achieving the literacy rate, and also modernization of industry, and the growth of service sector. Even technologically, we have achieved in terms of growth of scientific infrastructure, for example, ISRO and defense, and also other industries and software. But still, India lags. India lives in villages. India lags in uh, providing basic facilities such as water, health facilities, sanitation facilities, energy, and also health facilities, and even education. So these are all the some of the even employment opportunities. These are all the some of the challenges, even climate change and degradation of natural resources. These are all the some of the challenges India needs to address. So I stop here, Professor S. Narayan, and I, I think hello.
Thank you very much, Professor. You have made a good and systematic presentation of India at 75. And
Thank you, sir.
some of the things which you mentioned, which I call as initially I also mentioned it, that this is largely because of the we could not achieve the target because of the lopsided development, and maybe because our policy is based not on the real need of the people but on the excess need of the people. So the time has come. This is very right time that when we are planning policies for the development of the people, we should be careful for their felt need rather than the assessed need, and then the pace of development will be higher and the holistic development will be achieved. So this is what I feel, but you have made a very good presentation. And now our
Actually, I forgot to share some of my recent writes up in the press. I addressed even the issues of India is focusing more on GDP growth rate instead of focusing on the quality growth,
yes,
especially the addressing inequality, environmental degradation, and all those things. I can share later if time
please
permits.
please share it in a day or two so that we
Yeah,
can share it with the Niti Aayog and all that, because that
yeah,
is essential to develop that, because now our focus should be on the environmental degradation and increase raising the human quality index. That is equally important, because only by saying that we have developed from this much of percentage in terms of per capita income does
yeah.
not suggest that the development has taken place. So the society will be waiting for your papers, and thank you once again. Now our professor Iyengar Sahab is there, and I hope now he will give the presidential address, because in inaugural address we missed him. So you please go ahead with your presentation, Iyengar Sahab. We want to hear you.
Yes, thank you. I hope I am now clearly audible.
Yes, very much clearly audible.
ओके, थैंक यू वेरी मच। सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। प्रोफेसर राजशेखर जी का भी बहुत धन्यवाद। मैं समझता हूं कि वो थोड़ी हिंदी समझ लेते हैं,
Uh,
इसीलिए मैंने सुना कि ब्रह्मो जी ने तो हिंदी में ही बात की, तो मैंने कहा मैं भी हिंदी में ही बोल दूं। नारायण साहब ठीक है?
ठीक है, बोलिए आप, जिसमें आपको
हाँ,
सुविधा हो।
नहीं ज्यादा मैं कम समय में कह पाऊंगा, अंग्रेजी में थोड़ा देर लगेगा।
So
बहुत
please,
अच्छा हुआ।
for my benefit, mainly speak in English so
Yeah,
that
I will, Professor, I will try to do English.
yes, sir.
Okay, please.
You see, I think the major part of the presentation actually has been done by two eminent people. They have really drawn the trajectory of 75 years of independence, economic growth. Actually, that has helped me. इट हैज हेल्प मी इन द सेंस कि मुझे जो कुछ अब कहना है मैं सीधी तरीके से कह सकता हूँ। 75 साल में क्या क्या हुआ वो तो आप लोगों ने सुन लिया, स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ द इकोनॉमी सुन लिया, कंट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ सर्विस सेक्टर सुन लिया, प्लान की सारी डिटेल्स सुन ली, ये सब हुआ। और ये सब के शुरुआत में जो है मैं दो बातें खास कहना चाहता हूँ। एक, सलामती और समृद्धि की बात नेहरू ने कही थी, और सलामती और समृद्धि की बात अभी भी कही जा रही है। इसमें फर्क क्या हुआ है इस देश में, पहले ये बात हम समझ लें। गांधी जी नेहरू जिस सलामती की बात गांधी जी से कर रहे थे, द थिंग दैट ही वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट security of the nation, it was an external aggression that he was worried about, because this was a country, it was a huge country, and it was subject, I mean, second world war had just finished, and he felt that the country will be under threat, people will be there to overcome it. Therefore he was arguing with Gandhi that we need defense industry, and defense industry can do only under the state. It is now that we are thinking that we must also have our own Pentagon. So we have just made a beginning. Now that's not a good sign in any case, but that's not the discussion today. What we are saying is that this is where we reached, and this is where Nehru disagreed. Therefore, his prosperity idea came from industrialization, urbanization, removing excess population from rural areas to urban areas, and really give them good opportunities. Now we realize, and that time also we had realized, that there is a big gap in opportunities in rural areas and urban areas. Over a period of time, it has deepened. We are now not talking about whether India should grow at 10% double digit growth rate consistently to beat China, South Korea. We are not in that race. Let's understand one thing very clearly. What we have achieved is not mean, but what we have not achieved is vital. We have failed on economic front less, we have failed comprehensively on becoming a participatory democracy with healthy socio-economic profile, going back to the four basic values of the constitutions which talk about liberty, justice, fraternity, and equality. About equality, already Professor Rajshekhar has spoken about it. So I need not really highlight that how everybody is now accepting. I mean, we need not wait for the curve to show us that the inequality has been increasing. It has indeed been increasing. The opportunities have been being reduced. Now, where is this problem? The problem is that even when Nehruvian era was there was a problem with the open growth of the economy, capitalist growth of the economy, because state was in command in some sense. It definitely sort of was a hurdle in the way of free competition, free market, free export import, capital export import, and everything. The globalization. But what have we ended with in 30 years? We have got, our problem now is that this whole, the way the country's progress has unfolded in last 32 years, the problem has been there has been concentration of economic and political power both. Now, let us realize that when capitalism grows, the lobbying grows. The lobbying is political. It happens in the parliament. It happens with the leaders. And we still have this one leader having impression on the whole country and everybody. And therefore, the individual takes the commanding height. And therefore, it is not a participatory democracy. It's a representative democracy in a very limited sense. And the three-tier Panchayati Raj system never gave us the Gram Sabhas. We know the story of Gram Sabhas and we know the story of Sarpanch Patis. That means Sarpanch husbands. Okay, so our situation is that what this Gandhi was talking about, and the serious debate Gandhi had with Nehru was this, that he wanted development from below. And this development from below has to be understood. You needed a broad-based economy. You needed really a broad-based industry. He talked about rural society because it had solutions in it for growth as well as equity, justice, opportunity, and most importantly, that he did not know at his time that it would also be simultaneously answering the problem of environment degradation, because the scales of productions would be low and decentralized. We are not talking about human scaling. We economists are guilty of talking only about economies of scale, and which is really actually not the only case. What we are, and this is the first problem. I have put the first problem in front. In the first phase till 1990, we had this slow growth, Hindu rate of growth phenomena, and in the post-liberalization phase, we have had a concentration of economic power with corporatization of business, corporatization of everything that is possible. And corporatization is going for labor displacing technologies, including artificial intelligence that you have talked about. This is a danger for us, because not because this is really danger in all the economies. This is specifically dangerous for us because we are 140 crores. And India's solutions, America's solutions, Europe's solutions cannot be in Indian solution. South Korea is a chota country. China is a closed country. We don't have any internal information completely about it. And we don't know what is going to happen to China. China has what it has done with its environment, what it has done with labor, they only know. But here at least, since we are a democracy, and that democracy, even if it is now being sort of curtailed, it is strictly representative. I am talking about the situation in the country where there is an unholy nexus between the corporate and the political powers. So forget about all your concept about justice, liberty, and equality, or everything about gender, everything about poor, everything about our downtrodden The Dalits, forget about Adivasis, they will get crumbs. They are getting crumbs, but the opportunities are going to be limited. Social sector is going to take, it has already taken a beating. Now, this is the first point. The second point is, because of this tremendous growth, economic growth that has taken place and globalization that has happened, there is a strong middle class now. It's a substantial and strong middle class which can buy. Once Time magazine had said that in couple of decades India will have class which will provide for the world market. It will buy anything in the world. So this middle class and the rich class in this country is now ready to buy anything in the world, and therefore the consumerism has entered in this, and middle class, the upper middle class and the rich class and even the middle class have developed a great vested interest in continuing this sort of the economy, because they will be hard hit and they will have to make sacrifices if at all. Therefore this is problem number 2. Problem number 3 is what we have lost in last few decades, or last 1 decade at least, is the balance in understanding wisdom, broad, robust wisdom in the polity about the plurality. ये समाज हमारा विविधता से भरा हुआ समाज है, हमारी संस्कृति सबकी संस्कृति है, यहाँ का हर बंदा, हर नागरिक जो है इस देश का है, वो धर्म से ऊपर है, जाति से ऊपर है, ये हमारी संस्कृति रही है और इसमें बड़ी सेंध लगी है. The problem is that our plurality has been challenged. And now the Salamati and Samruddhi, the slogan which started from Gujarat, I come back to Salamati and Samruddhi, security and prosperity, has the both Samruddhi and Salamati have different interpretations. It is being said that the state only can protect you, so be subservient. And Samruddhi can come through only trickle down and accept what you get. Now, these are the 3 important problems. Revisiting Gandhi at this stage, and of course, let me bring in the Corona. Corona realized in interiors of the place where I stay, I asked my fellow villagers as to what would have happened if Sarkar did not give you free ration. They said, Sudarshan bhai, हमें बराबर चाहिए, हम ठीक हैं, हमारे पास 1 साल का पूरा अपना राशन है. They understand, this is a tribal area. There is a sense of self-reliance by culture. They wouldn't have got affected. Then I asked them, आप लोगों ने क्यों लिया? Why did you accept the ration? अरे साहब मिल रहा है सरकारी तो क्यों नहीं लेंगे? ले लिया, भर लिया हमने भी. You understand this? So Gandhi's idea of really building the rural societies, which is actually broad-based, the economy cannot be narrowed down into certain cities. We are not good in urban governance. Urban governance is in shams, it's in shambles. We know, Professor Rajashekar would know that what is happening to the Bangalore city. He knows that how bad, 1 week before you could see how the cars are floating. Are we in good urban governance? Not even that. And who suffer the most? Poor suffer the most. We are worried about what? What is our social objective? What is our constitutional objective? You see, if you go by this, let us now calmly revisit the logic of economics in Gandhi. Gandhi only said that I need some ethics in the economic programs. 2, I need decentralization of economic activities. Agriculture is basically a decentralized activity. Therefore, he said that let us do rural reconstruction. And rural reconstruction did not mean going back. He would invite the best of the technologies. He would not mind, but the application and appropriateness of the technology is what had bothered him, and he proposed that why don't you bring technologies which can be helping the rural base. So we need the scale to be brought down to village, viability to be established at that level, and of course, I must first support my neighbors. This is the ethical point, he said. That can you first support your neighbors? Yes, of course. Who supported us during Corona? When a complete lockdown was there, who supported us? It is the neighbors. Did anybody come from somewhere to help us? No. It is the neighbors. It makes eminent logic that in the economy and sociology both, our neighborhood is something that we must protect and accept it. So Gandhi is simply telling us that do this. Second, he is also telling that when you are in a rural setting, your consumerism does not enter, because I am not saying that we should live in destitution. I am not saying that we should live in abject poverty. No, he also would not say, and nobody would say. The point is that we know that we are using so many things superfluously. One of the good indicator of the economic progress is per capita solid waste, liquid waste, and all types of waste that is generated. Now you look at this energy consumption. So highest energy consumption generates highest pollution, highest social, highest waste. So these are the indicators. Why don't we see this? So UNDP's report putting us at 132 ranking, even in 21-22, way below at 0.6 something, where the top scorer is 0.9 up. Now, is this where we have tried to reach, which means even with 10% growth, you will not be able to do that? Now, if we had decentralized, if we still go by that, then we have to reduce per capita superfluous consumption. The necessaries and luxuries have to be brought down, and you will be told, beware, if people are not using what is being advertised, where will the economy grow? So economy will not grow. So spend, and spend all the money. So Gandhi was saying that use what you require, use limited. Lifestyle is a major thing Gandhi attacked, and lifestyle is the ethics that Gandhiji brings into the economics with all economic logic. He is not a statist. Please remember, he is not a statist, but he is only saying that let market be the price determining agency, production demand supply agency, but the demand side of it, the neoclassical economics will tell as given. He says no, you have to influence it. Actually, even neoclassical economics influences. Why do you have MBAs? MBAs are there to sell you untruth. You see the brand advertisements, they all tell you untruth, or they hide, they conceal, right? So let us understand that this is our problem. In 75 years, we have taken a course where we are now completely misguided, and there will be a point of no return. Let alone your IPCC reports say what they do. There will be 10 other scientists who will tell you that this is not a problem, carbon emissions can be controlled, and we will go to net zero. Don't worry, go on consuming, because without consuming you can't do it. Gandhi said, no, you are heading for a disaster. So that is the ethics part of it. Now, if you decentralize, the point is that you also automatically control the environment, because you don't have concentrated, synthetic, large scale production polluting air, water, and soil. I am not saying that there will be zero pollution. I am only saying that the tolerant levels of pollution can also be addressed and corrected. We will require green technologies, we will require clean technologies. I am not saying no to anything. My only understanding has been that if we follow what Gandhi was saying, bring it down, and once you bring it down to a decentralized level and get into the education, which is the final thing. Why did he say Nai Talim? Nai Talim is nothing but educating children through vocations in their neighborhood. and the neighborhood vocations makes them skillful, skills with the hand, and then you also train them their hearts, which is heart is where you train Jivan Shaili, lifestyle, and then you use your head, that is knowledge, to solve problems. So if you have this 3H applied to the new generation and also have some breaks and controls, self-regulation and societal and state controls over the lifestyles and the production designs and patterns and mode of production and the scale of production, you will be on a consistent path. SDGs are more possible. I mean, we'll not very far. 2030, 2000, you had MDGs. In 2015, you had SDGs. And in 2030, you will have some more Gs, some more goals will come up. But Gandhiji, if we follow his logic of economics and his understanding and his work on working with the downtrodden classes, economic, social, and every type, and follow the respect and celebrate the plurality of this country. And in this country, we are going to be sustainable, sustainable economically, sustainable environmentally, and harmonious socially and culturally. I think this is what I understand. And therefore, I would submit that 75 glorious years of independence, the Amrit Mahotsav has given some droplets of Amrit to us, but we require some higher dose of Amrit. And I am only afraid that if we don't change our course, we might, this Amrit also might be snatched, and some Rahu or some chase will follow to the Amrit Kumbh. So I do believe that in this Amrit Mahotsav, we need to preserve this, what we have gained as the Amrit drops, but we must rise to the occasion, increase the quantity of it. In coming 25 years, India's fate would be sealed. Because if we don't change these concentrations, if we don't change this situation, we may have environmentally gone into no return level. And I am only afraid that once again, poor people will be wiped out, agriculture, small farmers, marginal farmers will be wiped out, there will be corporate agriculture, corporate production, and everything corporate, and you will be poor receiver of the trickles that come. That's what is my assessment. Therefore, I have been saying to everybody that let's rethink the paradigm shift that we require is this kind of a paradigm shift. We have tried state controlled, we have tried market. Time is now that we really do village based, not necessary, don't call it village. You call anything, but bottom up. Let this village be as modern as any small unit of urban area is, with all amenities, what Kalam Saab would have called it, Pura villages, or you give a new name as city village, sillage, as our Anil Kakodkar Saab, BARC, former chairman tells, do anything. But this is the way of going about. Thank you very much. Sorry to have got disconnected. You know, Murphy's law says that when something has to go wrong, it will. So
Thank you. Thank you very
प्रोफेसर
much,
साहब,
Swami.
ऐसा है कि देर आए दुरुस्त आए, अगर वाला मामला ठीक हो तो मैं समझूंगा कि काम हो गया आपका.
नहीं नहीं, आपने बहुत ही अच्छा किया. आप देर आए और दुरुस्त आए. देर आपका हुआ, लेकिन आपने जो भी बातें कही वो बिल्कुल सच कही. और उन बातों पे मैं समझता हूँ कि जो भी पॉलिसी से जुड़े लोग हैं उनको इस पे चिंता करनी चाहिए. आपने जो बताया है, तो हम लोगों का जो तरीका है, आप जैसा जानते हैं कि हम लोग जो वेबिनार करते हैं उसको गवर्नमेंट से हम लोग शेयर कर देते हैं, कि जिससे कि वो कुछ उसमें से कुछ निकालें और कुछ अपना काम करें, तो तभी उससे हम लोगों को संतोष होता है. अदरवाइज ऐसे केवल वेबिनार किए और फिर ख़त्म, कोई उसका फ़ायदा नहीं. तो इसका अभी भी जो आज हमारा डेलिब्रेशन हुआ है, ये सब हम लोग नीति आयोग के साथ शेयर करेंगे, और जो भी उनका आउटकम होगा, जो वो बात बताएंगे, वो मैं ज़रूर आपके साथ शेयर करूँगा. और फिर जैसा होगा वैसे आपसे चर्चा करेंगे, क्योंकि इसके बाद जो हमारा वेबिनार है वो है इंडिया एट 100। आपने बहुत सही कहा कि जब हमारे 25 साल में तो कोई बचेगा ही नहीं तो चलिए हम लोग उसको भी 100 ईयर्स वाले में भी इस बात की चर्चा कर लेंगे कि और क्या हो सकता है। इसी तरह आपने जितना काम किया है और गांव को जो रिमॉडल आपने एक मॉडल जो तैयार किया है वो बहुत अच्छा है, उसको फॉलो करना चाहिए। लेकिन हम लोग तो केवल हम लोगों की बात को सुनने वाले हैं कितने लोग। जो कहे एक समय था कि हमारी बातों को सुना जाता था, आज भी हम लोग एक प्रेशर ग्रुप की तरह काम कर रहे हैं कि आप उनको जबरदस्ती कहते हैं कि सुनो हमारी बात को सुनो, देखो अयंगर साहब ने क्या कहा, ठीक है मॉडल, क्यों आप इसी पे कॉर्पोरेट में जाते हैं। Anyway, I am hopeful that something will happen. We are trying, we are doing something for the betterment of the society. Let us hope for the better days. तो आप सबों को इसके लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, और बहुत ही मैं आपका अनुग्रही हूँ कि आप आए और हम इस चर्चा में भाग लिए। सबों को नमस्ते।
नमस्कार नमस्कार नमस्कार।
नमस्ते नमस्ते।